In this video, I'll cover the steps I used to install an interior cat door for our CatGenie 120. The same steps can be used for installation of an interior cat door whether you have a CatGenie or not. I'll also talk about choosing a location for the CatGenie and why the cat door was needed in our situation. Before purchasing the CatGenie 120, I already knew that an alternative location would be needed because neither our bathroom or our laundry room was large enough to provide the space needed for the unit. At least 21 inches high, 24 inches deep, and 19 inches wide. Fortunately, a small coat closet, 27 by 35 inches, backs up to our washing machine. By setting the unit catty-cornered in the center of the closet, there was plenty of room on each side for adequate ventilation, but I added a small fan to ensure good air movement. The hoses run through the wall to reach the washer hookups. To achieve a clean appearance to the finished installation, I purchased an inlined HDMI grommet kit to run the hoses through. The kit is made specifically for television cable wires to run into and up the wall behind the TV, then out the wall at the proper height to connect to the TV. But they also work well for what I wanted, for the CatGenie hoses to go through the wall from the closet to the laundry room. The grommet kits come in a variety of different sets, but the one I chose is from Lowe's for less than $20. I didn't record the steps for the installation, but the kit came with everything I needed. A hose saw to cut the hole and a grommet setup for each side. The installation was pretty straightforward, following the directions on the package to cut the hose and install the grommets. The only thing I needed to do extra was to cut another slit on the face of each of the two grommets perpendicular to the existing slit. This extra slit forms an X to allow the large water hoses to run through it. If needed, a small section of the inside ring can also be removed to allow additional space. Now onto the cat door. It's been about a month since I set up the CatGenie 120. I waited to install the cat door until I was sure the location in the closet was going to be okay. We just left the closet door partially open during that time for the cats to go in and out. Since they have made a successful transition from the old litter boxes, I'm ready now to install the door. I considered buying one of the plastic kits with a flap to install in the closet door, but now I've decided to make the opening in the wall next to their food and water. And instead of buying a kit, I'm using inexpensive materials to build a custom opening. Instead of the traditional cat door like you would buy in the store, I'm making my own. I'm using two picture frames, one on each side of the opening. We found the frames at a garage sale for $1 each. I'll just have an opening with no flap, but a curtain or some type of flap could be added if needed. Since this is a corner and the joining wall is about 6 inches thick, I went on the other side inside the closet and held the frame approximately where I wanted it to be and poked a small hole next to the inside edge of the frame through to this side. That gave me a starting point to cut my opening on this side. There shouldn't be a stud this close to the corner, but to be sure, I'll run a stiff wire into the hole and along the wall a foot or so to make sure that there isn't one that will interfere with the opening. I'm lining the inside edge of the left side of the frame up with the guide hoe and using a level to place the frame in the desired location. I'm marking the inside edge of the bottom of the frame first, then the other three sides. Now that it's outlined, I'll use a utility knife to cut the opening. After cutting all the way around, the sheetrock should just pop out. Hold the frame up to check the edges and smooth up any spots that aren't quite in line. I'm using a J-bead to cover the raw edges of the sheetrock. This 10-foot piece is more than enough to do both sides and was only a couple of dollars at Lowe's. I'm actually putting the J-bead on backwards because I want the wider edge on the outside of the wall when I use screws to attach the inside boards. I had planned to use 2x4s to frame the inside of the opening. 1x4s would also work, but I already had scrap 2x4s in the garage. There's a wall stud close to this inside edge. I wasn't paying attention before I finished cutting the opening, but I can still make it work. A 1x4 is just right to be flush with the opening, so I'll use that on this side and 2x4s on the other 3. A couple of screws on each side will hold it in place. Again, I'm using the wide edge of the J-bead to keep the screws from running too far into the sheetrock. Once I get the other 3 2x4s fastened from this side, I'll use them to mark the cut lines for the other side of the wall. Then I'll finish the inside of the closet the same way. I'll use spackling to fill in where the corners meet before painting. I've painted the inside of the frame now and will add a second coat once it dries. Then I'll use contact cement to put the frames on so there won't be any screws or nails showing on the finished opening. And this is my finished cat door for our CatGenie 120. Now we can close the closet door, the cats can take care of their business, and I don't have to mess with the smell and dust of the old cat litter boxes. Everybody is happy.